Good news, everyone. The world is not coming to an end after all.
Don't worry, kids, about climate change. Don't worry about taking action on the planet. Enjoy your 10 hours in the car and let the planet burn.
This is a big development. After all, over the last decade, Mark Carney's been telling us all that oil and gas was a, quote, existential threat to the planet and climate. In plain English, that means that the world could cease to exist.
We're in a climate crisis. You need a plan to get out of it.
But in a YouTube video the other day, he changed his mind. In fact, he now says we no longer need to meet our emissions reductions targets at all.
The changes we have made will mean that our emissions will be higher in the next few years.
Let's recap. Mark Carney wrote a book called Values that pushed bigger and broader carbon taxes and bans on gas vehicles to keep oil and gas in the ground. But if you don't like those values, I guess he's got other ones. He was even the UN's climate envoy, where he pushed a report that said we needed to keep 65% of our oil in the ground. He founded the Net Zero Alliance of banks committed to starving oil and gas of investment.
Which is why you need things like GFANs that are relentlessly, ruthlessly, absolutely focused on that transition to net zero.
He even said that more people would die of climate change in 1 year than died throughout all of COVID. Of course, he made a fortune peddling this crisis as a corporate power broker. He went around asking governments for handouts for his company's heat pumps and inflated green energy and aviation fuel, driving up the costs and driving out the jobs of workers in the process. Anything to save the world. But now, Carney says we no longer need to hit our emissions targets. In fact, emissions can go up. The crisis is canceled. It's a miracle.
Listen, I was shocked to hear the news as well. I don't watch political content as much as I should. So I'm a little slow on the uptake on some of these things, but let me tell you, there's only one thing more shocking than this, and that's that Anna Roberts connecting women who don't report abuse to internet trolls who may or may not be getting laid. And you know what? In all fairness, may also not actually be men, which would be telling you, if the people she's blaming aren't actually men, that would be very, very awkward.
The other thing that I think that as a committee that we've discovered is it's also our responsibility to educate the individuals, the males, that they need to respect women. As a mother of both a male and a female, we have to treat everyone with respect, regardless whether you're a man or you're a woman, it doesn't matter. If we are going to live in a society where women can, be able to roam the streets, not fear for their life, not fear for their children, how do we do that if there's not the laws in here?
You know, Canada, this is progress. We call this progress. July 20th, 2026, this is the Original Comic Reporter, and I only have one side, that is my own. But that doesn't mean I can't appreciate a good burn when I see it. We need more of this from our Prime Minister in waiting, who probably won't be waiting much longer if the US keeps going after Mark Carney like they seem to be. Listen, I will clear all of this up later in the video, so stick around, because if you don't, I don't take responsibility for you not sticking around for the reality behind this absolute bombshell of a rumor. Listen, the governor of Ohio, you, sir, are amazing. Mark Carney and Doug Ford at the same time. That is a boss move, and we love you for it. I don't know your name. I don't know your alignment. I don't even know if you're getting laid or not. But if you aren't, you should be. For those who don't know or haven't heard, there are rumors, and when there are rumors, it usually just means the mainstream hasn't reported it yet, not that it's true. There are rumors that the governor of Ohio has frozen the assets of Doug Ford and Mark Carney in relation to suspicious foreign transactions, and they are one step away from sanctions on Canada due to both those illicit dealings and the smoke from the northern Canadian wildfires. This is the greatest thing since elbows up. The governor of Ohio is an alpha male. The dude took down two of the most feminine men of all of Canada with a single freeze of their assets. Canada loves Ohio We love you. This is drama. This is drama I can get behind. Ottawa called the move unprecedented, and of course, that's because it is. This is such an amazing and wonderful development that I can almost feel the entire country healing beneath my feet. The governor of Ohio has more power than the Prime Minister of Canada and the Premier of Ontario have combined. 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 That is wild. And I could not be happier about it. Doug Ford threatens to turn off the power in New York. Nothing happens. Mark Carney repeatedly tells the United States that they are useless to Canada. Nothing happens. Canadian citizens scream at the border and threaten to elbow their neighbors in the face. Not one single thing happens. Nothing at all. Nothing. Not one thing. All that blowhardism and its self-immolation in full-on and public view, and America just shrugs their shoulders, shakes their heads, and laughs at the pathetic little snow Mexicans to the north of them. But then, an American official discovered suspicious foreign connected transactions related to two of the most powerful men in Canada, and the governor of Ohio locks down their assets with a flick of his wrist. This is poetry. This is flipping poetry. God, thank God Doug didn't keep that jet. Thank God he doesn't have to pay the maintenance fee on that $30 million private jet, huh? Thank God for that, huh, Doug? Aren't you glad we warned you? Let's put this in perspective for everyone who doesn't understand why this is amazing. Let me explain this to you real quick. Mark Carney is a federal employee. He's federal. He is a member of the federal government of Canada, and he is in charge of the entire country, all of it, the whole thing. Doug Ford is the leader of Ontario. The whole thing. The whole thing, all of it. The whole thing. The biggest province in all of Canada with the biggest population and the most revenue, and Doug Ford is in charge of all of it. The whole thing. He's in charge of the whole thing. The governor of Ohio is a civic leader. He's civic. He's not the leader. He's powerful, but he's not the leader. He's not federal. He's not part of the Trump administration. He's a big dude, but he's not the dude. And he just froze the assets of Mark Carney and Doug Ford in America because he found foreign connected transactions that go against the best interest of America. Yes, Mark Carney and Doug Ford are one step away from being sanctioned by the United States of America by the governor of Ohio. Holy shit. The governor of Ohio just created more consequences for the bad behavior of Mark Carney and Doug Ford than anyone in Canada has ever attempted to do in any meaningful way ever since the beginning of time to the end of the millennia. I love the United States. I love the United States so much it hurts. How embarrassing is this for Mark and Doug? How embarrassing is that for Mark Carney and Doug Ford? This wasn't the president. This wasn't Congress. This wasn't the Department of Justice, the Treasury for OFAC. No, none of that federal nonsense for Mark Carney and Doug Ford. No, all it took for them was the governor of Ohio. The governor of Ohio took two of the most powerful men in Canada out with a single shot at their bank accounts. I love this. I love this so much. I could say this for hours and never get tired of it. I love it. This is the best. It's the best. This is the best thing that's ever happened to Canada, and Donald Trump didn't even have to do it. Ohio did it for him. This is amazing. This is not even the best part, by the way. That's not even the best part. The best part is that Donald Trump is threatening to tariff Canada over the smoke flowing into America from the wildfires in the Canadian North. The completely untended and vastly undermanaged, almost never forested arboreal forests in northern Canada are on fire for reasons totally not connected to federal incompetence, and the smoke is flowing into America, and Donald Trump wants to tariff Canada until the smoke stops. Yes, Donald, listen to me. Mr. Donald Trump, listen to me now. Do it now. 200% tariffs. No. 300. No, wait. 500% plus sanctions. 1,000% plus sanctions and a warrant for the arrest of the climate activist Mark Carney, who loves when forests burn because they cause higher prices in Canada and asthma in the United States. Yes, Canada. Elbows up. Elbows up. Let me see your elbows. Canada. I need to let me see your elbows. I love this. This isn't even political. This is theater. There hasn't been a show like this in Canada since Les Miserables, maybe Phantom of the Opera. So let's add all this up. A foreign leader from our greatest ally and a state level official from Ohio have created more disruption for our prime minister than the following Canadian bodies: the Prime Minister's office, the Ethics Commission, the Ontario Legislature, the entire Canadian media, or any Canadian oversight body in the history of Canada since John A. Macdonald puked in the House of Commons. I love America. It should be my home and native land. I might have to make it my home and native land. Anyway, so a state level governor actually doesn't have the ability to do a countrywide asset freeze, so that's not actually a thing. But he can recommend or request a freeze at the federal level, and quite frankly, a governor recommending a freeze carries a lot of weight. So whatever the US has found that caused them to flag these transactions, it's got to be a big deal. We're talking like wild levels of foreign interference here from the prime minister. I wonder if this is connected to Newsom. Remember those commercials? Remember those? Those commercials around the World Series time where Gavin and Doug stood up there and insulted the president before Doug decided he loved Donald Trump. Actually, you remember those? I don't know. I'm just speculating. Just speculating. I'm just thinking out loud. Don't mind me. I'm just an incel making a YouTube video before I stop being an incel for an hour and so, and then when I come back, I'll be an incel again. See how I did that? That's called a callback. It's just a thing we comedians do. So back in June, Anna Roberts, MP of King Vaughan in Ontario, and Dominic Vane, MP of somewhere in Quebec no one cares about, decided that after committee discussion, they believed that women who don't report physical abuse and domestic violence are not reporting it because of online trolls, public shaming from men who live in their parents' basement, and of course, Andrew Tate and the manosphere. Because, of course, I would like to personally thank Louis Theroux for his excellent work in exposing the manosphere for the cesspool of male excellence and self improvement that it turned out to be. God forbid dudes should have things they like and women don't like. That would be horrible. It could even be potentially the end of the world. The Antichrist cometh, and it rides on a bald. The Antichrist cometh, and he rides on a bald horse with an enormous schlong, who is also a retired kickboxer. So I can appreciate that these ladies just want to assume that equity and equality means that men and women can be the same if you just socially deconstruct them enough. I understand they want to think that. I can appreciate that Anna Roberts and Dominic Vane want to believe that they are evergreen, and if they can just roll back evolution far enough, if they can just turn back the clock far enough, they too can be eligible for some 22-year-old stud who has only eyes for them and, of course, their pocketbooks. Unfortunately, ladies, that's not how this works. Now, you may or may not know this, but I've been writing what you might call red pill adjacent content for a long time. And I'm one of those people here in the creative space the government might call dangerous. I'm not sympathetic to the whole respect all women dialogue because in most cases respect seems to mean just stick around and take her abuse. No, that's not what's happening. Any policy that promotes gender-based hiring or varied sentencing for non-gendered crime, I am vehemently against. And I am totally unlikely to protect any woman I don't know if I see her arguing with a man in the street, especially if I witness her punch him first. Almost no matter how he retaliates, because quite frankly, ladies, he shouldn't hit her back. That's stupid. But if he does, I I am not willing to bear the burden of her mistakes. That's because fully grown adult women have a thing called agency, and they're perfectly capable of taking care of themselves, do not need a man's protection or support, and I'm 100% in favor of them doing the work in order to get the reward exactly as God intended, no matter the size or aggression level of the man she decided to pick a fight with. That's fine. Power to the people, especially the women. See, because here's the reality of the red pill. The red pill acknowledges that everyone, almost the entire world, are feminists. We're all feminists. There are no anti-feminists. None. They're a myth. Not even those who say they are. None. There's not one real there's not one real anti-feminist in the entire world, period. We all appreciate women. We all degrade ourselves for women. We all want women. All of us, every man, every single man, all of them. See, there are men who want women to be different. Those men are a problem. They want women. They just want a different type of women than humanity currently offers. In fact, it's debatable. Those men want a type of woman that may not have ever actually been on offer throughout history. The type of women those men want have likely never existed and will never exist as long as the earth still has humans on it. What you're doing with this report is applying a label to a group of men who have accepted what women are and are finding success with having that information, with a group of men who have put so much space between themselves and the sexual marketplace that most of them wouldn't even know what sex looked like unless you delivered them a prostitute on a silver platter. Even gay men don't like women. Even gay men like women. They enjoy sexual activity with men, but they didn't go gay because they don't like women. That's silly. Some men even pretend to be gay because it gets them closer to women if the women are on birth control. Right? Some men even pretend to be gay because it gets them closer to women if the women are on birth control, that is, and quite frankly, that's pretty much all of you at this point. What men don't like, and I need Dominique and Anna to hear this clearly so there's no confusion. What men don't like is being followed into spaces that are clearly meant for them and then expected to accept that that space is no longer theirs. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the men pushing back on you, inviting yourself into their spaces, are the men you don't like. That's what I think. See, I think that because there are millions upon millions of men who only request, whose only request, the only request they have, is that they get to be left alone while they play video games or Warhammer or listen to World of Warcraft podcasts put on by their favorite female gamer. That's all they ask. They'll go to work and pay the rent, take care of their own insurance. And all they ask in return is a little bit of peace when they get home, so that when they get home and they enter that place where they can be themselves and there are women there, all of a sudden it's not so peaceful anymore. It's not that women can't have these hobbies. It's not that women can't participate in those games. It's not that women are barred from entry. It's that women, specifically women like you, like to enter those spaces and change them with the intent to change the behavior of the men in those spaces. But let me fill you in. Men don't change. Men never change. Men will do one of two things. Men will either leave the space and find a new space, or they'll turn on whatever charm they have to try to get that women to send them nudes. That's what will happen. Nothing about men changes. Nothing about men ever changes. Men only want one thing, and it's bloody glorious. So here's the deal. If you want to teach young men to respect women, that's fine. That's just fine. Not all women will earn the respect you want them to, and some young women will get far more respect than is healthy, but you can definitely ask that young man to respect women. And it will be very easy to do, actually, since really all men ask in return is that you respect them back. The problem here is you don't respect those young men, and they know it, and they are already starting off with a huge amount of cynicism because you and your ilk taught them to be cynical of female intentions. Does that make sense? Because you literally just did that with the recommendations in this committee analysis. That's what you did. You tried to change male biology by calling it social construction and then gave yourself permission to invade the spaces that men find comfortable to be in after they finish their 8, 10, or 12-hour day contributing to a society that believes they are collectively a problem, apparently. Do you see why men might be a tad hostile to this suggestion, committee? Do you see the problem? I know you think they're all Andrew Tate obsessed and manosphere addicted, but I can assure you the entire idea of what you call the manosphere is to get men in, let them get what they need to improve their lot in life, and then get them out before they get addicted. Yeah, Andrew Tate worked differently. Andrew Tate worked on an addiction model, but the manosphere is barely a group. The red pill is a praxeology. Men who subscribe to this stuff need it. They find it because they need it. Some of them get stuck in it because those who use it for what it's actually intended for tend to be way better on their way out than they were coming in. When you, as a woman, violate a man's boundaries, he will react with anger, unless he's attracted to you. Then he will respond with enthusiasm. Two possible reactions with you, when you, as a woman, violate a man's boundaries, he will react with a progressively higher level of anger the more time you violate his boundaries. I mean, even if he's attracted to you, then he'll respond with enthusiasm if it's new, if it's the first time, and won't be attracted to you at all by the 20th time. That's how that works. That said, even if he is attracted to you, there are only so many boundary violations he will deal with until he is no longer attracted to you. So you see, committee, because none of these men are attracted to you, they will all react to your violation of their boundaries with hostility that will get more and more open until you completely lose them forever. That's how masculinity works. And it will happen whether I exist, whether Earl Tomasi exists, Rhinestone or Rich Cooper exists, or any one of the creators exists, however many guys there are in the States and Europe, doesn't matter. That's the way men will react no matter how much of the manosphere exists. These are not role models. These guys are not role models. These are what we call information brokers. And all the men in these spaces know that. At least they should if they're in the red pill space for the right reasons, or the manosphere space for any place or any way that could improve them. I think this is the same problem that you people specifically have with MAGA. You don't quite get it. MAGA is a loosely connected group of people who want America to be a better place for them. The red pill, and by extension the manosphere, more or less, is a loosely connected group of creators and experts who want men and themselves to be honest, to have a better shot, not just with women, but in business and in life in general. It's not a peaceful place, but it's not meant to be. And it's not meant for women, though they are welcome, and it's not meant to be a peaceful place at all. It's not meant to be a comfortable place. The manosphere doesn't teach masculinity. The manosphere lets masculinity compete for supremacy over other masculinity within itself. To blame the manosphere for the problems of women being afraid to report domestic violence is despicable and so incredibly lazy and so dishonest. This committee should be terminated immediately. Anyways, yeah, if that's your conclusion after looking into the manosphere and all the content that goes with it and the struggle young men are having, then this committee never should have happened. This committee should be terminated tomorrow and restaffed to do do a complete relook at what the conclusions you guys made. This is beyond. This is not at all academic. This is you did this committee on feelings and on wanting specifically to get at Andrew Tate. Anyways, that's all for today. Tune in again soon when I live stream my recent arrest by the RCMP for telling a couple of MPs they're wrong about men. That should be a great episode. Lots and lots of subscribers from that, I'm sure. Anyways, take care.